Tonight, Canadian MPs step onto one of the world's most volatile political stages, raising new questions about who really speaks for Canada abroad.
Here at home, floor crossings are testing Pierre Poilievre's leadership at a critical moment and igniting discussion about whether constituents are being left behind.
And as Christmas approaches, we take a breather with a surprisingly heated debate. Are gift cards thoughtful or just the easiest way out? From Montreal, I'm Eddie Tekalik.
And I'm Gary MacDonald, honest, unfiltered Canadian, the conversation we should be having, so let's get started. Well, a group of Liberal and NDP MPs traveled to the West Bank to meet with Palestinians this week, a move that comes at a delicate moment for Canada-Israeli relations. Supporters say the trip shows commitment to human rights and dialogue. Critics argue it risks undermining official foreign policy channels. Now, the timing and optics raise questions about who speaks for Canada abroad. The trip also exposes growing divisions in how Parliament approaches the Israeli-Palestine conflict. Eddie, this one is leaving me shaking my head big time. You have 5 Liberal MPs and a New Democrat MP going over. They were denied entry yesterday. And one of the main reasons they were denied entry into the West Bank is the Israelis believe that the group that is sponsoring this trip, they have that group listed as a terror entity, which leads to a whole lot of questions. And one of the first questions I have about it is, like, what is going on? This, to me, whether it is or isn't, and perception is everything in politics, but it seems to me like this could be construed as a conflict of interest. Now, maybe it was cleared by parliamentary officials. I would hope, anyway, that it was cleared, and I would hope that Mark Carney, the Prime Minister, was aware of this and gave it his blessing, because, of course, he was among, as Canada, representing Canada, we were among some of the first to again come out and say we're going to recognize the Palestinian state, which drew a very cold response from the Israeli Prime Minister. But here's the thing. This is an all-expenses-paid trip by the group, the Canadian Muslim Vote, a Canadian nonprofit. The primary funding source is apparently the Islamic Relief Canada, Islamic Relief Worldwide. Now, to me, that's almost like a lobby group saying, say, for example, a company walked in and they wanted to impress some MPs trying to get their votes, right? Curry their votes in favor. And they take them on an all-expenses paid trip like this. Now, these people are going over and they're saying, while we're going over, we want to see what's going on over there and how we can help. No. If you want to see what's going on and how you can help, then you do it through the proper channels. We do have a couple of departments and ministers who look after this kind of stuff. They went with about 30 or 40 heads of aid agencies from Canada. On this fact-finding mission. And to me, I cannot believe that Prime Minister Carney, well, I guess I can, if he comes out and says we're going to recognize the Palestinian state. But, our relations with Israel right now are tense at best.
Very, yeah.
Yeah. So why would you, again, and it comes back around to back on the October 7th massacre, it's like I've said on many occasions, there were, 12 to 1,500 people killed, Israelis killed in that massacre. And you poke the bear, and then you wonder why that most of Gaza is in nothing but rubble.
Ruins.
Ruins. Like, and here we are. We're poking the bear in another manner by sending these people over. fine. If the heads of the aid or the aid relief agencies wanted to go over, great, go ahead, and have your trip paid for. But our elected politicians going over, I don't think so. I think there's a real issue here with them accepting that trip. And I could be wrong, could be barking up the wrong tree, wouldn't be the first time, but if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, then it is a duck.
Well, Gary, it's I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to look at this as fairly as possible, and you just said something that kind of made me rethink my concept about this whole thing. Is your point? Did Prime Minister Carney know about this? Okay, first of all, and if he did know about this and he signed off on it, the next thought would have been, should we be doing this on an official capacity and dealing directly with the Israeli government to notify them that there is a delegation coming from Canada, along with 40 other aid agencies to come over there to see, how we can actually contribute to lessening the pain of a lot of people in Palestine, even in Israel for that fact. It's just a delegation of aid agencies.
Right.
If they came over on an official capacity, I don't think that they would have been denied entry, because as we talked earlier on, Gary, prior to that, all right, the Canadian Government Security Agency, CSIS, or whoever's in charge of this, Foreign Affairs, would have done some due diligence in terms of, okay, where is the money coming from? Is it you and I paying for this trip, Gary, as taxpayers? Okay, that's one thing, and that's for the pundits to debate this in the House of Commons and on the floor in terms of why are we spending this money. That's a whole other story, but it's done on an official capacity, right? But if this is done as we're looking at right now, with potentially without the express support of the Canadian government or signing off on it officially, our security agencies going through their due diligence would have identified these two organizations you mentioned, the Canadian Muslim Vote and the Islamic Relief Canada. And if from what you said earlier on, the Israeli government, the Border Patrol, Border Control, refused entry to our 6 Canadian MPs on the basis of the fact that these two organizations are classified as terrorist organizations, terrorist entities by the Israeli government. Well, you know what? Canadian Security Agency would have picked this up. So how did he manage to get out of our country with the mindset that we're coming as a delegation from Canada unofficially and trying to get into a war-torn region, where the country they're visiting is not on a good footing with Canada as we speak right now, because of the tensions and as a result of Canada supporting a sovereign Palestinian state. So, you know what? I understand it was an all for one and one for all situation. If one delegate was refused entry into Israel, none of them would enter. Okay, fine. But Gary, I don't know what these guys were thinking. They're MPs, for crying out loud, and we're not talking about backbenchers or people of insignificance in some departmental agency in the government. These are elected officials that decided one day, you know what, we're going to do our thing for the world and just head out there and be expected to be greeted with open arms on an all expense paid trip funded by two organizations, which, you know what, they could very well be up and up. But anything that has any sort of Islamic or Muslim association will be highly scrutinized in Israel. Like, what do they think? They were going to be welcomed with open arms? So I'm kind of looking at this right now as, what kind of an embarrassing situation that these 6 delegates with their entourage, in terms of reputation, poor reputation, soil our reputation as a Canadian government. And you know what? Israel might be scratching their heads and saying, who the hell's in charge up there in Canada? Who are these bozos that try to get into our country? Who do you think? Who do they think they are? They think we're stupid. We're just going to let them in. So, Gary, there's a lot of implications here. And you know what? I think the questions have to be asked of the Prime Minister. Prime Minister Carney, did you authorize this move? And there's got to be an answer one way or the other, and consequences, not just for the Prime Minister, but I believe also consequences for these MPs if they so chose to go out there on their own accord without going through proper channels, as you mentioned at the beginning of the show, Gary. So this is, you know what, this can turn out to be a very, very political hot potato for the Liberal government, but also on the international stage. You know, what are the Israelis thinking of us right now? What is Carney going to do to try to, pacify Netanyahu and his government being pissed off at us in the first place for recognizing Palestine, and in the second place just jaunting over there and expecting them to greet us with open arms when Israel is keeping a very close eye on all organizations affiliated with any sort of Islamic movement or Muslim movement. So it was a very, very strange one when I first saw this. The first thought was, what the hell are you guys doing? That was the first thought that came to mind.
And as I say, Eddie, I keep going back to perception.
Yeah,
Um, and it may have been cleared by the Prime Minister. It may have been cleared by parliamentary officials as, okay, it's all right to accept the all expenses paid trip. But it's to the average person on the street right now struggling, trying to pay for the increasing cost of groceries, for example.
right.
And because of the dynamics that are involved, anytime you get anything related to the Mideast involved in just regular conversation, it becomes a flashpoint very quickly. And here you have, and they're crying, oh, well, they're indignant because they weren't allowed in. And yet they were told.
What did they expect? I mean,
Yeah.
well, Gary, look, I'm sure that both you and I don't want our viewers to get us wrong. Is any aid that can be supplied to that region, I think we're behind it. Okay, I think the world would be encouraged to provide some aid to that very impoverished area as a result of the military aggressions both ways. Unfortunately, Gaza is getting the crap beaten out of them, or has already had the crap beaten out of them. They certainly need aid. There's human beings there. And I don't know. I just have the feeling that if we went over there in an official capacity and the Canadian government and the Israeli government spoke about our efforts to help that war-torn region and give Palestine aid, on a global stage, that would probably look good for the Netanyahu government and saying we have accepted a Canadian entourage with 40 delegates with aid to the region. I think that would bode well in terms of Netanyahu's profile in the rest of the world, which doesn't look at him very favorably right now. And it just went up in smoke because I don't believe they did this properly. And I don't know who the hell was managing or orchestrating this entire activity and travel out there and accepting this donation from these two organizations to pay for all expenses. There has definitely been, Gary, if whether you agree or not, there has been definitely a breakdown in communication somewhere where somebody did something they really should not have, but went ahead and did it anyway. And it comes down to who's representing our government. And now here it's on an international stage, right? And I think you and I have discussed this over coffee a few times. Sometimes we'll have the premiers of our provinces go into another country and kind of negotiate some sort of a deal for the province, which might have Canadian-wide implications, which we kind of say to ourselves, well, wait a minute, you're the premier of your province. What are you doing over in so-and-so overseas and negotiating this, that, and the other thing? Shouldn't the Canadian government be doing this with the country on the other side? So we do have a lot of this MP and premier going on their own accord to try to negotiate one thing or another. So I don't know. If it's from a business perspective, that's one thing because you're looking at business transactions. But when you're looking at humanitarian efforts in a region that's still war torn and continued fighting. I really believe there should be some sort of accountability, and you just can't, pull up stakes and go on your own accord and represent Canada when you're not really representing Canada out in official capacity. Gary, what would just imagine they went out there? You have six Canadian delegates. What happens if the missiles and bombs and IED started blowing up around them without any sort of official capacity with them? They're there as not necessarily representatives of Canada, but basically ministers of parliament. I mean, governments are not going to necessarily recognize that. And on the other hand, maybe the government in Israel basically saw these individuals as above and beyond them coming over foolishly as a security risk. What do they expect? The military to escort them around these war torn areas because they just happen to be there? This is a you said six MPs and an entourage of 40 representatives of aid groups. That is a lot of security to escort these people through war-ravaged sections of Gaza, or even moving into the West Bank, which is which is up in armed conflicts as well. So I don't know what they were trying to accomplish here. Good Samaritans, great, but they, in my opinion, Gary, they went about it really the wrong way in this particular case.
And it comes back around to a point you raised earlier too, Eddie, about how does this trip affect the already strained relationship with Israel?
Right.
It's not helping it by any stretch of the imagination. And again, it comes back to who's going to take responsibility for this? Well, as far as I'm concerned, it stops right at the desk of the Prime Minister.
Yeah, I
And
think so.
I think maybe that he owes Canadians some kind of an explanation as to what has gone on here. And to me, Poilievre and crew should be on this as well,
Yep.
and especially for the perception of this trip, the way it's going. Again, to me, if the representatives of the aid agencies want to go ahead. And
Hmm.
if you want to take the all expenses paid trip, go ahead. But when you're sitting as a member of parliament and you're going to be voting at some point, I'm sure, on some kind of package, or be a member of the government that's saying we're going to provide some kind of a package, there's a perception of conflict of interest there. It's to me, it's no different than having lobbyists on Parliament Hill, but at least the lobbyists on Parliament Hill are controlled to a certain degree, and you work around the rules that are laid out. I don't know. Maybe this Canadian Muslim vote, it's just kind of a different name for a group sponsoring a trip like this. When you think about it, like
Right.
so, I just it just stinks as far as I'm concerned, and to get on the news and whine and cry about being denied entry
Hmm.
when you knew it was going to happen. You had to know that it was going to happen, especially with an entourage, and especially when the Israelis found out who was sponsoring the trip, the whole 9 yards. It doesn't take a mental giant to figure this one out.
Wow. You think they did this on purpose to
Well,
embarrass Canada, or maybe embarrass Netanyahu on the global stage? I don't know. It just
it wouldn't
odd. It's
surprise
just
me.
weird. I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't know what to make of this. And
yeah,
but you're absolutely right. Prime Minister Carney, for all the good he's doing, I mean, take five steps back, one backwards from time to time. Great, but he's got to answer to this. And Gary, unless you see it differently, I don't see him coming out looking good, no matter how the question is posed to him. Did you know about this? Yes or no, right? Either answer is, well, why didn't you know about it? Or why did you approve such a thing without going through channels? He's not gonna look good on the visibility scale at all, whether through our media outlets in the country or on the floor in the house during questions period. I don't know how he's going to be able to spin his way out of this one. It doesn't look good for him at all, Gary. I don't know if you see any way out for him for this.
Um, the only way out is just to admit that there was a screw up along the way. I made a
Yeah.
mistake.
Hmm.
But again, it brings forth a couple of points. And the first one is: are the MPs acting as independent advocates or unofficial diplomats? And if so, who gave them the authority to do that anyway? Again,
Hmm.
we come back to the strained relations between Canada and Israel. What's this going to do to that strained relationship? Is it going down the toilet big time now? And does it really help Palestinian voices, or does it complicate Canada's credibility in all of this? Well, I think it's complicating Canada's credibility. I vote on that side of it for sure. It is
Hmm.
complicating our credibility, and I I don't think it's helping Palestinian voices by any stretch of the imagination. Even if they had gotten in, I don't think it was going to do anything to help Palestinian voices, one way or
Hmm.
the other.
Right.
It would have been just, to me, a dog and pony show, a foreign opportunity, a photo op.
Right.
That's what it's going to amount to, or what it amounted to. So now they get a little bit of attention because they were denied.
Hmm.
Wow. Again, like I say, you didn't have to be really following this closely to figure out that that's what was going to happen. And why are you crying and whining about it?
Right.
Just jump the next plane back to Canada and let it go.
You
But
know, it's almost like Greta when she tried to go with her entourage, her armada of boats to try to bring supplies into Gaza. She knew damn well she wasn't going to make it off her boat, as well as the armada of the flotilla. They all got picked up by the Navy. I mean, yeah, I guess they accomplished what they came out to do, is to get on the news, on the world news, right? They weren't able to deliver their supplies and basically got held and sent back. Are we talking about the same thing here? I really don't know. I'm eager to find out what was really the motivation behind this, because you're right, Gary. The more you talk about it, the more it's starting to make sense that there is a smelly fish here somewhere, and I don't know where it is. It doesn't smell right to me.
yep, exactly. To,
You
to,
know.
to put it bluntly, it doesn't. And yeah, maybe some of the MPs are rookie MPs. I didn't get a chance to check into that aspect of it, but it doesn't matter whether they're rookie or they've been around for a while.
Hmm.
Somebody should have known better that this would not be a good thing in the eyes of Israel and other countries, that we've got this entourage going off and with the backing of the Canadian Muslim Vote Organization.
Right. Pardon my asking. There wasn't any cabinet minister
No,
in that group, was there? Okay,
no,
just a backbencher.
no. But there should have been a cabinet minister, like
You
our
would
foreign
exactly.
affairs minister.
Yeah.
If it was an official sanctioned trip by Ottawa, then you should have had some kind of ministerial representation,
Yeah.
official ministerial representation.
A minister, a deputy minister, or something of that level.
Yeah, I think if the prime minister wants us to recognize the Palestinian state, then I think he should have had a high-ranking minister, like our foreign affairs minister, go
Yeah.
and have a conversation with the Israelis and explain, we're on a fact-finding mission. But that's not going to go that far with the Israelis anyway, because as far as the Israelis are concerned, no,
Right.
get out. We'll handle it ourselves, kind of thing.
Right.
Basically, that's where they're going. Yeah, and let's just very quickly pop over here, because we do have a comment, and we can add there. Monel says the news does say that it was a private group that was going, so that does not sound like it was an official act. No, it definitely was not an official act by any stretch of the imagination.
That's interesting. I mean, if the newscaster is saying it was a private group, okay, fair enough. But if it's a private outing, if you want to call it, for lack of a better term, what the hell are MPs doing there?
Well, and why?
Right?
Yeah, and I keep
I
coming
was
back
absolutely
to
right.
why are they accepting payment, or not accepting payment, but accepting the paid trip?
Right.
If
A
you're
dangerous
going on
one.
a fact-finding mission as an elected representative of Canada, you should be getting the okay to get the financing from the Canadian government, or the House of Commons budget, or whatever. But you should be going that way, and not at the expense of an outside agency, an agency which one of the countries involved looks upon as a terror entity. So
That could not have been new news to them. I refuse to believe that. They
yeah,
had to have known that the Israeli government had already tagged these two organizations. Whether they are or not is irrelevant, first of all. Second of all, they had to have known the Israeli government's list of organizations they consider as terrorist organizations. So you kind of add one and one and you say to yourself, why would you still go out there knowing ahead of time that this is exactly how the Israeli government looks upon their funders, the people that funded them? It's yeah, that fish is really starting to smell worse, Gary.
it's just
The more and more we talk about it, the more it's starting to stink. There's something that's not right here, not
exactly.
right at all.
And I think, again, as I said earlier, I think the Prime Minister needs to step up to a microphone and explain exactly how this all came about, and whether
Hmm.
he is comfortable with the MPs, the majority of which are members of his government,
Right.
accepting a paid trip by an organization that, the Canadian Muslim vote. It sounds to me, again, like you're trying to stack the odds in one way, and
Hmm.
only one way. And yeah, it's there needs to be a coming to Jesus moment, and we need this whole thing cleared up. Because again, a question I heard the other day is like, is this um, exposing more as far as growing divisions in how Parliament uh, reacts and handles the Israeli-Palestinian conflict?
Hmm.
So is this a tip of the iceberg? Is it going to, are we going to have a glacier fall off the iceberg kind of, or another piece of the iceberg fall off, and it's going in a different direction? Who knows? Like, what's going to happen? But again, I feel the Prime Minister owes an explanation as to
Yeah.
how this all came about, and whether he is really comfortable with the group accepting an all expenses paid trip paid for by the Canadian Muslim Vote Association, or
Right.
group, whatever, however they handle it.
Yeah.
So I think this is one we'll follow.
Yeah.
Probably not much is going to happen over the next 2 weeks as far as any kind of an explanation is concerned regarding this. But hopefully, once the dust settles and they get back to the Hill and start working, and maybe the first week of the resumption of Parliament, somebody asks a question as to what the hell is going on here.
Yeah. You know what, Gary? I'd highly suggest. I mean, I know this is our last show for the year. I would really like for us to stay on top of this one to actually see what fallout, of any, we get out of the Canadian government internationally on the first episode of the year. Just 5-10 minutes just to talk about it, because this is a big one, because this is going to set the stage for other areas of conflict in the world where can Canadian MPs just arbitrarily pack their suitcases and go on an all-expense-paid trip someplace to stir up things on behalf of the Canadian government when they're not representing the Canadian government? So that'd be a good thing for us to follow up in the new year.
Definitely. And if anything should happen to break between now and the new year, by all means, at the very least, we can I can post something on Facebook, and there's a community chat on our YouTube page as well. Plus, we can put it on Instagram, TikTok, Reels, YouTube Shorts, whatever. We'll get it out for sure, and then do a quick follow-up, as you suggested, Eddie, on our first show back in early January.
Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll certainly do that for you, and we'll keep you posted one way or the other. All right, Gary, up next, floor crossing. First, a quick reminder. We are now on Instagram and TikTok. And please like, subscribe on YouTube, and follow on Facebook. Share and comment. It really does help attract more people like you, help our YouTube channel and Facebook page grow. Floor crossings, Gary, they are very rare. But when they happen, they send a message. Recent floor crossings by the Conservative MPs and internal dissent have put Pierre Poilievre's leadership under a renewed scrutiny. While not unprecedented, such moves raise questions about caucus unity and control. All this as Poilievre faces a leadership review in just over a month. Meantime, what about the constituents of the MPs that crossed the floor? The majority who voted in favor of the MP rushing to the arms of the party across the aisle are constituents receiving this type of representation for which they voted. Is it time to put restrictions on floor crossings? Gary?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This goes in two directions, Eddie. I think, and we can focus on, first of all, what the latest floor crossing means for Poilievre as he counts down to his leadership review at the end of next month. And the second part is the constituents. Now, floor crossing has been going on since the beginning of our parliamentary system here in Canada. So it's not an uncommon thing. It doesn't happen very often, but you seem to get flurries of it from time to time. And if you go back through, there are a number of Quebec politicians who have crossed the floor over the years as well. So, as I say, it's not uncommon, and usually the party that is the recipient of the floor crosser, well, they're all smiles and it's all great and they're all happy. And on the other side, they're usually crying foul. Only this time around, we had Chris D'Entremont cross from the Conservatives over to the Liberals about a month ago now.
Yeah, November or so, yeah.
Yeah.
Beginning of November, yeah.
Yeah. We just had Michael Ma cross last week. As a matter of fact, apparently he attended the Conservative Christmas party on one night, crossed the floor the next day, and attended the Liberal Christmas party the next night.
That was pretty ballsy, I'll tell you that. Like, wow.
That's what I've heard anyway. And there was one Conservative MP who they did a Secret Santa, and he said everybody was looking at their Secret Santa gifts, and he said, I didn't get one. And I got thinking, I wonder. So the next day he went and he asked if he could go down the list and see who was supposed to be giving him his Secret Santa gift.
Was it Michael Ma? Really?
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
So anyway, what it's done though is now Prime Minister Carney is one seat away from a majority government. That's it. Because across the aisle, Poilievre also had a Conservative member who announced, now they say he was going to cross as well when D'Entremont did.
Right.
But somebody or some people got to him, and what he ended up doing was he ended up announcing that he would be resigning sometime early in the new year. At one point, spring was tossed around.
And that would trigger a by-election, of course, correct?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Also, he did, though, on a couple of key confidence votes, including the budget confidence vote over the last couple of weeks, sat on his hands.
Mm-hmm.
He did not vote.
I wasn't aware of that. Okay.
Yeah. So Poilievre has lost 3, and of course the Liberals are playing up the fact that there are 3 or 4 more who are ready to go as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. It remains to be seen. There could be a lot of bluster on the part of the Liberals. It's hard to say at this stage, but then again, there have been rumblings about Poilievre in the campaign back in April and how that went, and who knows? There may be some more MPs who are really, Conservative MPs who are really giving it some thought. Now, before we get into any further discussion, last week Poilievre did the year-end interviews. He did one with Rosemary Barton on CBC, and he did one with Vashi Kapelas at CTV. And out of both hostess tried to push him on his leadership. Vashi, from what I saw, was a little more aggressive with pushing that question. And here is just a brief clip from that whole thing and Poilievre's responses.
And again, I'll put to you with great respect, I look at public opinion polling. Every single one of them has your party and the Liberals neck and neck within 1 or 2 points of each other. But when you look deeper at your own personal numbers, the divide between you and the leader of the Liberal Party, the Prime Minister, is far more significant. You were supposed to win this election. You lost it. You didn't hold your own seat. You have now lost 3 MPs. At what point are you a liability to the Conservative Party?
Well, we added 2.5 million votes. We had the biggest vote count in our party's history. We got 25 more seats, the biggest share of votes since 1988. Why? Because I ran on restoring the promise of this country, that anybody who works hard gets a good life, gets an affordable home, a safe street. And that vision brought people to our party in record numbers. We've led the debate on inflation, carbon taxes, crime, immigration, natural resources, drugs, and more, to the point where the Liberals have to plagiarize our words, even though if they don't actually put them into practice. So we've been driving the debate under my leadership, and we're going to continue to demonstrate that if Canadians want those policies that Liberals keep pretending to support, they're actually going to have to vote for the real deal in the next election.
But you lost. At the end of the day, you lost, right? And I just don't understand kind of how, after all of that, and I'm not taking away from the election result, the significance of it, and certainly I've directed a lot of those questions at the Liberals to try and hold them to account. But there is absolutely zero sense of contrition on your part, particularly after the loss of these 2 MPs. Why?
Well, I'm very troubled that they made that decision, but the people in their ridings voted for the Conservative agenda that I'm continually leading on in the House of Commons. again, which is to make this country affordable once again. And I'm not, we focus a lot on the palace intrigue of Parliament Hill. We need to focus on the real lives of Canadians who can't afford to eat right now. We've got 2.2 million visits to a food bank every single month. That is twice what it was just a decade ago, a number that's increasing this year. Next year, grocery prices are expected to go up another $1,000. Family of four will be spending $17,600. So I appreciate the obsession around this place with the palace intrigue and the interpersonal debates, but what really matters is whether people can actually put food on the dinner table every night. And I'm the only one who's been consistently championing the right of people who work hard to have decent food, to have a good home, to live on a safe street, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
Gary, give Vassy a cigar. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
And I was also laughing at Manel's comment, you got to put it up.
Yeah.
But you know what? Now that's what I would expect from any credible journalist, to ask those types of questions of the leaders of a country. Tough, hard questions. And you know what? She made the man squirm. He just kept on with the rhetoric. You've heard from him for the last 6 to 7 years.
Exactly.
Unreal. What? I mean, she did great. What a great job.
I found it, she did an excellent job. It was quite entertaining to watch it. And he just kept going around. Now, Rosie Barton asked him about his leadership as well, and she said, shouldn't you accept the blame? And basically, he said, I'm blaming Mark Carney. Mm-hmm. And then, and this was only a portion of how Vassy went after him about his leadership and what it was doing to the party. Anyway, she brought up a similar question, and again he said, it's Mark Carney doing backroom deals to steal a majority government instead of going to the voters.
Right. Yeah, well, you know what?
Not once did he say it's not me.
Did he not? Yeah, he lost his writing, did he not?
Yes.
Let's go by the results of the elections. Or, you know what? I mean, I was looking at that. That's the first time I've actually seen it, Gary, so it was really entertaining for me. And, a couple of thoughts went by. I could see them doing what a leader of the opposition party should do, is, trying to continue to promote the policies he was campaigning on and keep on driving them forward. And, saying as a result of his position and what he was campaigning with, that they picked up another 2.5 million votes, yada, 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 so on and so forth. I was basically waiting for him to say, when he talked about putting food on the table and whatever else, well, you know what? Every candidate for the leadership of the country during the debate stage spoke about every one of these elements in detail. So it's not like he's coming up with a brand new idea. Everybody had a position on this because this is what Canadians needed to hear. This is what Canadians were voting on. I was waiting for him to say, and if I got elected on day one, I would have eliminated all these high price increases and everybody would be able to afford 5 pencils. I was waiting for that to come out. It just didn't. And I'm not sure. I think that PP did himself a little bit of a disservice during that interview of tough questions by pointing fingers. I really did not expect him to point fingers, and to me, he lost me when he started pointing fingers. Up until that point, he had me, but he lost me when he started pointing fingers.
Here's the thing, Eddie. If you listen closely, he never accepted any blame for the fact that he's lost 3 MPs and their rumblings of more ready to make the decision to cross the floor, number
Right.
one. And number two, Vassy did go after him and say at one point about the fact when he was talking about, we increased our vote and blah, blah. And she said, but you lost your seat and you lost the election.
Mm-hmm.
And then went
was
back
taken
to his
aback at that
talking
point.
point, and that was
Right.
that was it. Now, the one thing of it is, though, between the latest polls and his round of interviews that got a lot of play over last weekend into the first of this week, had the Liberals scrambling, especially when he blamed Mark Carney and said that Carney was doing backroom deals to try and get a majority. Steve McKinnon, the government House leader, went out in front of reporters. It was either late last week or on Monday. And you know that they were in major damage control. You'll see it. Here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
But Mr. Poilievre has spent the last 3 days giving these fuzzy, and what we thought was, oh, a long-form interview, an hour here, a half hour there. We're going to hear some plans. We're going to hear some specifics. But yet, Mr. Poilievre comes forward with the same tired tropes that Mr. Gerritsen and I listened to and all of you listened to every day for the last 4 months.
Why is he leading in every public opinion poll then? For almost more than almost a year now.
You know what Diefenbaker said, right? Polls are for dogs, and there's going to be an election at some point in the future. We're going to be very happy and very confident to put our plans and our specifics in front of Canadians and let Mr. Poilievre try and get away with these tropes and these tired tropes that he's involved in.
Yeah, polls are for
and during
dogs.
that little spiel scrum with the reporters on Parliament Hill, one of the reporters asked, "Why are we here? Why are we really here? What do you have really to offer today?" But when you see something like that, that's a party in damage control right away. Because let's have a look at the polls, Eddie. I do have a couple of polls out, and actually it is surprising what we're going to see here. Okay. All right, this one is an Abacus poll, and it's dated last week, actually. And look at that. Current vote share, 41% for the Conservatives and 41% for the Liberals. They're tied.
Wow.
And on November 27th, it was 41% for the Liberals and 40% for the Conservatives. And I think probably what you're going to see is like the Liberals, if there's a little bit of a change at all, it's probably that percentage or 0.5% or whatever change that may pop up will obviously go to the NDP.
Right.
But and look at the NDP where they are.
Single
gained
digit.
one percentage point.
Yeah.
So that's one poll, but there are others here. So let's have a look at the next one. Okay, this is geez, I forget which poll it is. I'm going to have to go back and look because the name just escaped me. But this one goes back, I believe it was to the end of November, and it's 37% with the Conservatives, 40% for the Liberals, the NDP 9%, and they picked up 2%. So you can see the Liberals had dropped 3 points in this one, and the NDP picked up 2. So you know where 2 of the 3 points that the Liberals dropped went. And the Conservatives had dropped 2 points as well. So, yeah, I'll get the name of that poll here in a minute. I just want to make sure that. Okay, so then, but here's where the road parts. This is an Abacus poll, and the impression of Pierre Poilievre as leader. And you can see he's in negative territory and has been all along. So his perception is not great, and that's just as of last week. And then there's one more here as well. And this one was Angus Reid, I believe. And again, you can see from the conservative standpoint, 68% wanted him as leader,
Right.
lead the party into the next election. He's lost 10 points since August.
10 points is
And
considerable.
yeah, and then coming around, those conservatives who think he should be replaced by a new leader, in August it was 18%, in December 26%. So even within his own party, things are starting to fall apart.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect. It does not bode well. I don't care how much of a brave face they put on. This is not boding well for Poilievre and his leadership review. Now, the other side of that is it's being held in Calgary at the end of January. So, how well attended is it going to be if they have off-site voting? Again, how well attended is that going to be? But for those in the Calgary area, the Edmonton area, in solid conservative country, they'll pile in and support Poilievre for sure.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to see how tight that. I mean, it's all based on margin of error, and in some of the polls you don't get a margin of error because they're conducted online. But 41% or 40%, either way, you're looking at right now a very tight race, and the only thing that is separating them, the leaders.
Correct.
Because Carney's approval rating is starting, and we all said that the honeymoon period would start coming to an end sooner or later. And I believe it's starting to a degree, but like Poilievre never really got started, even after his by-election win back in August. He's not picked up.
Yeah, both you and I expected him to pick up some momentum as a result of perhaps learning from his erroneous ways, and changing the way he was approaching the Canadian public when he spoke. Hasn't come to fruition as both of us actually hoped it would. So you're right, Gary. He just didn't seem to use that as a catapult in terms of rebranding himself and putting himself in a better position heading into the leadership review come January. It's too bad. I was really hoping he would have done so, but he just continues to struggle in that area, to tell you the truth.
He does, and even when he appeared to be trying to change his personal approach to things or his personality on camera in the public, he looked like he was really straining to do it. So, but for somebody who's been in politics as long as he has been, I mean, he's quite capable of repeating the talking points and getting the odd zinger off for sure. But really, he's gone back to, unless Stephen Outhouse, the new campaign manager, manages to work with him and work with him between now and the end of January. I don't know.
Yeah.
He could come out of the leadership review and come out with I won't say a solid vote, but at least enough of a vote to maintain the leadership. But that's within the party. What's going to happen outside the party? Right now, it's not looking very good at all.
No,
and all it, sure, Carney does have a wide lead, but it's still, all it would take for Carney is one major screw up, and then will that race tighten? I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm really not sure. So That's that aspect of it. That's the Carney side. Now, let's look at the actual crossing the floor. And, you get, like, the election was the end of April, and here we are near the end of December. So, we're what, about 8 months?
Yeah, 7, 8 months in. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And that much has changed in these people and their thoughts about the party and the leadership of the party, that they've decided to bail and cross the floor. Didn't they have any idea of what was going on? Some of them, and Chris D'Entremont, like, he was no rookie.
No, and
Been there.
quote unquote, when he, I caught this on some of the feeds that D'Entremont came out and actually said when he left, he felt like he was part of a frat house.
Yeah.
That is very, very hot and heavy words as parting shots when he moved over to the Liberal side. So
Very much.
yeah, you're right. I never thought of that, Gary. 7.5, 8 months in, did these guys not know what they were getting into, or did something significant change during their tenure where Poilievre, behind closed caucus door meetings, was maybe changing direction, changing his vision, wanting his people to follow him regardless of what they thought? I don't know. He's stepping on a few toes, and like you said, D'Entremont was no slouch. He's been there for a while. He's a hitter,
Mhm.
right? To be that disillusioned to leave, and then you look at Michael Ma, who's I believe this is his first election victory, if I'm not mistaken, in as a government servant. Taking pictures with Poilievre in his left arm, and on the following day he's taking pictures with Carney in his right arm.
Yep.
There has to be there has to be something significant that's an underlying factor to get this much dissatisfaction within his own party caucus. And we're talking 3 people here. You know what? 3 people in a matter of 8 months, that's a lot of people. I don't know about you, Gary, but that's a significant group of people jumping the floor. I don't know. I think at one point you said we could expect some more before the end of the year. Gary, we got a little over 2 weeks. We got a little week. We have about a week and a half to go. So you never know. You never know.
And if it doesn't happen then, it'll happen like in the first 2 weeks of January, would be my guess.
Right.
So I think the House doesn't go back until the 3rd week, like the week before the leadership review, I think it is. But the thing is, okay, the floor crossing, I get it to a degree, but, and it's always been part of the parliamentary procedure. And just before I get into my spiel here, Monel writes, maybe they were hoping he would stop with the same old rhetoric and the same old speeches, and he didn't, and they got sick of it. But in fairness, they should have known that from the campaign. So anyway, so I'll just get my spiel out here, and that is this. We're in 2025, we're in the 21st century. And the floor crossing thing, I've not lived in a constituency where that has happened. But I can tell you one thing, if it did, I would be one pretty PO'd voter, because I do my homework before I leave for the polling station to cast my ballot. And if I have somebody that I've placed my faith in and have them 8 months in, 6 months in, even a year in, or at any point during the term of government, they cross the floor, then they have negated the trust and the faith that I put in them to do the job representing the party that was part of their package. And at that point, a party whose platform I felt and whose leader at the time I felt were the right combination for me and my family and my friends and for our riding. So if you're that convinced that this is not the right party and the right leader, then resign and offer, some people say go sit as an independent, which has happened in the past as well. No, I didn't elect you as an independent. I didn't vote for you as an independent. I voted for you as a member of a particular party with a particular platform. So have the gumption to hang in until the next election, or if you feel that strongly that it's not going the way you think it should be going, resign, force a by-election, and offer, whether you hook up with another party, that's fine at that stage. But I'd take a long, hard look at you as far as casting a vote for you again. But hook up with another party at that point and run on your record at that stage and the party's record at that stage. I think that that's the way it should be, because you have basically betrayed the trust put in you by the majority of voters in your riding. And it's the same like at the municipal level when somebody's halfway through their municipal term and they decide, oh, there's an opening to run for provincial politics. And I used to, there was one very popular municipal politician, and she was only maybe about a year into her 4-year term at the time at the municipal level. And she was recruited by the Conservatives, provincial Conservatives, for a by-election. And when she made the announcement, like I went right up and I said, so what do you say to the people who voted for you and put their trust in you for 4 years at the municipal level?
And what did you get as an answer?
I had this shocked look on her face because she had no answer, really.
Right.
And she tried to, kind of bounce around it a bit and, like, don't say any more, like, just don't put your foot in any farther. But, I just have I really do have an issue with that. And I think that the rules of Parliament should be overhauled to reflect that. I don't think that you're going to you might get a deal of some sort where one pet project of the riding, you'll get the funding or a promise of funding, but God knows how long it would take to actually get the money, right? But that does not negate the fact that the majority of people voted for you as either, whatever the party was that you represented, and the principles of that party and the platform of that party. And all of a sudden you change, ships midstream. No, no. If you're going to do it, you have, and if they don't change regulations, then fine. You have the strength of your convictions to resign, force the by-election, and run as an independent if none of the other parties want you, because they may not. And you run as an independent and you stand on what you had accomplished or not accomplished up to that point.
Yeah, and also as an independent, you can still vote for your former party if you so choose so and your convictions are strong, right?
Right.
And then by the same token, correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, if you resign, don't you give up access to your pension that's going to be ending up in your bank account after you get through your first or second term? So if you do resign, don't you forfeit that?
Once you're vested.
Once you're vested? Okay. I was just
yeah.
wondering if that was something that that discouraged people from resigning as a result of them no longer towing the party line or not believing in what the party was promoting.
No, it'd be the same as if you were vested in your workplace and you had
Okay.
A pension. The only difference would be is your pension would be much lower than the
Right.
ultimate pension because of the time you've served, right? So, yeah, that just have the courage of your convictions to resign. Just
Yeah,
resign.
I'm of the same thinking too, Gary. I mean, although you know what you look at moves across the floor, and as a I'm a swing voter, liberal, conservative, whatever else. Anything to help the government work ahead as quickly as possible, I'm all for. And maybe these moves from opposition to the Liberal Party will help orchestrate that. But by the same token, I'm 100% behind you. If the MP that I help vote into power in my particular riding all of a sudden decided to jump ship over to another side, which I may or may not support, I think I would be pretty upset. I mean, to me, I would take that as a spoiled ballot, to tell you the truth, in terms of what happened to my vote. It was all for naught. So I'm with you on that, Gary. Do I think that the government should change the rules on that? I think they should. Maybe they're not going to be able to accomplish it exactly to the degree you're suggesting here, that you outlaw a move from one point to another. But I think some change has to be put into place, not to immediately grant the party that's receiving the MP receiving the seat just automatically benefit from it. Maybe there's got to be an interim step where they're forced into independence. I don't know. But just outright moving across the floor like that, I'm not for. And you know what? I don't know which government is going to have the gumption to actually make that change, whether it's the Liberal government over the next 3.5 years, or whatever government sits in control once the next election goes through. And Gary, I mean, this has been going on since Confederation, if I'm not mistaken. People crossing the floor. If they haven't made the change now, outright, I don't think they're going to be very, very quick to change that, because you know what? First of all, they're bigger fish to fry, and then second of all, it's not going to be a very popular move. So I don't know. Well, time will only tell. But I'm with you, Gary. I would be, as a citizen of Canada, I would be pretty pissed if my MP jumped ship without my permission.
Well,
or,
exactly.
or the permission of his constituents. So it's just not right. Well, you know what? Here's an example. How would I feel if somebody from the Liberal Party that I voted for jumped over to the Bloc Québécois?
Yeah.
I would not be happy. I would not be happy. So I get it. I get your frustration, and I'm with you. I'm with you on this one 100%.
Okay, and I think, Eddie, with that, we will wrap up this segment, and move along, because
Okay.
we have a couple of dandy yes or no issue. It's a dandy yes or no issue for sure that's coming up.
Right.
And that happens to be coming up, the gift card Christmas debate. Now, before we get into that debate, if you are enjoying our conversations and want to show your support, you can buy us a coffee. Just scan the code. I never remembered to put it up, or click the link in the description below for details. Eddie and I thank you for your support. And just before we go on, Eddie, it was that other federal poll I had up, Ipsos.
Okay. It was
An
Ipsos.
Ipsos
Okay.
poll. Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay.
Well, Gary, you've probably done this. They're easy, they're practical, and they're everywhere. Gift cards have become one of the most common Christmas gifts in Canada.
Supporters say they're flexible and practical, while critics argue they're impersonal and lazy. So where do you stand? and I know where I stand. I'm
Let's
all
have
for
it.
gift cards.
Yeah.
All for gift cards.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, Eddie. You have people who are really hard to buy for at times, or and you don't know like their real sort of thoughts on things, or they may be just some of those people who don't have a lot of material possessions. They don't want them. Or they may be someone who can, if they want something, they see it, they buy it.
Right.
So, how do you counter that? And the other part of it is we have busy lifestyles. We're all, going like ants in an anthill all the time, or we feel like we are. Let's put it that way.
Right.
And maybe we're overblowing that in our own minds. But the thing of it is, the gift card, here it is. I know you have an interest in electronics, so here's a Best Buy or a Costco gift card. Go get whatever it is you want,
Yeah.
up to that amount, and it's easy. You can wrap it up, or have it gift wrapped, or put it in an envelope and put a bow on it, or whatever, or
Right.
do what I did. And that's buy a gift bag and stuff some colored tissue in and bury the gift card at the bottom so they're digging through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could
Yeah,
even put something heavy in the bottom of the bag, like just I don't know.
surely not a brick, Gary.
Maybe a can of beer or something,
Yeah, there we
Just
go.
so, yeah,
A
so
can
it
of
looks like
moosehead, a big can.
yeah. So, but to me, they make perfect sense. Now, there is an issue, in a growing issue with scams
Yes.
with the gift cards, especially when you buy them on the racks at some of the stores, like some of the supermarkets, and that just had them out on racks. You can run into issues where you pay for the gift card and you think the money's on there, and then the person goes to use it, and there's no value, no cash value.
Right.
So you get smart about it. Don't be buying off a rack in a supermarket or the corner dep, whatever. No. But you use their banking machines? I hope not. But anyway, you don't do that. You go to like the Apple Store or Best Buy or Costco or some of these places, and you get a gift card, and away you go. And
Right.
They can get whatever they want, up to whatever amount you put on it. $25 goes a long way still.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You know what, Gary? I have two thoughts on this. For the kiddies, for children, there is nothing like a child ripping down the stairs from their bedrooms on Christmas morning and just tearing through their gifts and in anticipation getting something, a toy or anything like that, right? So when it comes to kiddies and buying gifts for children, I prefer to go the buy them a gift route. I'll ask the parents of said child, what does said child need? Grandchildren or nephews, nieces, and friends, and whatever else. What does your kid need? I will take care of it. And you go out and buy it, and 99% of the time, it's exactly what the kid needed to get based through what the parents had said. So for children, I think a gifted box, and it's not stressful because A, you already know what the child wants, and B, your only stressor is where am I going to get it from? Is it going to be through Amazon? Am I going to go to the store myself and actually buy it and then wrap it up? And there's a certain thrill about wrapping up a present for a child. So when it comes to children, I say give them something tangible and an asset they can actually get their hands on. Now, for adults, man, I'm 100% behind you. I am complete in terms of gift cards. And in the case of family members, I'll write them a check with a card or something, and here you go figure it out and go get yourself something that you'll enjoy, because damned if I'm going to guess it right and stress out about it. And it is very stressful for me to shop for an adult unless I specifically know what the individual wants, which is not an easy thing to come by these days, you know. So yeah, I'm gift cards. I did gift cards again this year, for the adults, and for the kiddies, I bought presents, and it worked out just fine for me. Thank you.
Well, yeah. You bring up a good point about somebody who's difficult to buy for, and you buy something and they don't like it, and they end up having to take it back and go all through the frustration of the crowds of, you know, people returning stuff and everything, and you have a certain return period, and, you know, the whole shooting match. And it's stressful for them. It's stressful for you because, like you say, damn, I goofed again. I don't know what to get them next year.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I get that. So it really does make it a whole lot easier. And then if they go out and they get something and it's the wrong size or whatever, it's on them, and they have to they take it back, but it's on them, not on you, or the wrong style or the wrong color or whatever.
Yeah. And you certainly don't want the thought in your mind that potentially you might be buying the wrong gift, and it's just going to end up being a dust collector in some closet someplace, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so
Exactly. So, yeah, I don't have a problem. I don't think it's lazy. I think it's smart. I think
I
you're
do
being really, really smart in going ahead and getting the gift card. The only thing is, as I say, be very careful where you do purchase the gift cards.
and keep receipts.
Yeah. And make sure that, and that's the other thing too, like gift cards have no expiration on them now. So it's almost like the gift that keeps on giving. Because if they don't get something at Christmas time right away, who knows?
I
Down
got to
the
get
road.
me that new bikini come July.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not that I would look good in one, right?
And la 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 la. Anyway, yeah, and the other part of it is, they may say, "Oh, I have this gift card. Happy birthday." But you gave it to me at Christmas. Yeah, but you didn't use it. Happy birthday. Right? It's a bonus all the way around.
There you go. At least I didn't put a brick in the bag, right?
No, but I put a can of beer.
Yeah, exactly.
And look who's here.
Hey, Joe.
Joe's here. Season's greetings, best wishes for a happy and prosperous 2026. Cheers. Back at you, Joe. Thank you very much.
Same to you.
Appreciate that. So, yeah, so anyway, I mean,
And we got another one from Manila as well, I think.
oh, is there? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. Sorry about that, Monel. I missed that. Okay, let's go back and we go like this. Bingo. Hey, Manel says, I like gift cards, but at least put in some thought as to somewhere that I actually shop, or maybe just a Visa or MasterCard gift card. Don't give me a gift card for places I never go. Well, I think in that case, yeah, the MasterCard or Visa gift card's the best because, like, you know, I'm sure there are places that Deborah goes that I don't even realize, you know, she goes to those stores, and how would I know? So, yeah, the MasterCard or Visa gift card, bonus.
Yeah.
I like that idea. Very much so. And again, especially like a card like that, it doesn't have holiday stuff printed on it, or, you know, try and make it look Christmassy or whatever. So again, birthday time rolls around, they haven't used it. Happy birthday. Boom.
Happy birthday. Yeah.
Yep. Gift solved. I think, yeah, and that's, you know, it's like reduce, reuse, recycle.
Yeah. You're thinking about the environment.
Exactly. It's only one gift card instead of two.
Yeah.
Right? You know me, I'm right there with the recycling and the environment.
Yes, you are,
Yeah.
and get away from paper money and everything digitized. So yeah, we know exactly where we're going.
Absolutely, Eddie. Absolutely. And with that, I think that's it for tonight and actually for 2025. From foreign policy optics and party loyalty to holiday traditions, we all wrestle with. These discussions all come back to trust. Who we trust to represent us, lead us, and even shop for us.
And you can still join the conversation if you are watching a replay. Leave a comment below and remember to like, subscribe on YouTube, and follow on Facebook. I'm Eddie Tekalik, wishing you and yours a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good night.
And we are taking a break over the next 2 weeks, but you can catch a year-end discussion Eddie and I had about a volatile 2025. That'll be posted on December 24th. Night Talk Canada returns January 7th, 2026. I'm Gary MacDonald, wishing you and yours a very happy and safe holiday system. Thank you. See you next year. Good night.